welcome to Nighthawk Racing and the hashtag F1RST Championship. Firstly, I'm Sarah Hawkey. You can find myself and the rest of our drivers here on the Nighthawk Racing YouTube channel. You can also check out the entire back catalogue of seasons 1 to 3 of the F1RST series, mini-series and off-championship events, and one-off race events, all of which are highly competitive and a lot of fun. Also, please check out our Instagram and TikTok for other content and races there. Link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen for more information. But now, it's time to focus on the event at hand. Tonight you join me for round 6 of season 4 of the F1RST Nighthawk Racing Championship, and in today's video we'll be covering the red lobby here driving at Deep Forest Reverse. Before we get into tonight's race, I'm just going to give you a little bit more information about the event itself and the championship as a whole. So as you can see on screen at the moment is our calendar. We have a 10 race championship calendar going to several different tracks that GT7 has to offer. The racing itself will be divided into 2 lobbies, the red and the blue lobby. There are 2 racing events with a qualifying session, and the order of the events is the qualifying session comes up first. This sets a grid for the feature race. Next up is the sprint race, which is based on reverse average points scored, and then we go straight into the feature race, and like I said earlier, the qualifying session sets the grid for the feature race. So, up first on the racing events of the night is the sprint race. Same as last week, the sprint race will be 12 laps. The grid is formed via how the drivers line up in reverse average points scored across the season for a rolling start. And again, the feature race will be 46 laps long. All drivers must use 2 different compounds of tyres in this race, whilst also starting on the grid on the compound that they set their fastest lap in qualifying earlier. And as a reminder, during the lobby tonight, in the blue lobby, drivers have full driver aids such as traction control, ASM and ABS. And in the red lobby, they only have ABS enabled on the driver aids, that hardcore driving experience to really challenge our drivers. Right, so while the drivers are getting to know Deep Forest, let's get to know Deep Forest as well and see if we can find a few facts about it. But Deep Forest Raceway is a fictional circuit that first appeared in the original Gran Turismo, if you had the pleasure of playing it. It's also featured in most of the games since, except GT Sport, but it has returned to GT7 with a slightly redesigned layout. It's 4.25 kilometers long, or just over 2.5 miles, and it is set in Switzerland. Obviously, it's known for its kind of thickly woodened forest around the track, with that back straight literally on the cliff edge, and like many original circuits, it incorporates several tunnels due to the high speed nature of the track. Sports cars focusing on raw power are best suited for this course. So I think the NHR drivers will fit in right at home. But it features undulating corners, tight banked corners and long sweeping turns. It's a medium to high speed course, this one, and it is a favourite among GT players, not just for its scenery but for its deceptive difficulty to drive quickly. And obviously this is the first of 2. We are back at Deep Forest next week for the reverse layout, so let's see how the drivers got on. But before I hand you back over to the drivers to see how they got on in the sprint race, in the Gran Turismo, the track, like I say, was given a extreme redesign, with more barriers being added around the racetrack within the forested road. The most significant change is the addition of a much longer straight from the tunnel section, leading into a sharp downhill hairpin turn, which does catch quite a few drivers out. But let's go see how the drivers got on in qualifying and get into the sprint race.
Okay, here we are for the red lobby sprint race here at Deep Forest Reverse, and what a grid we have lined up for you already. So in P1, who will be leading us away in that Ford GT, will be Charlie. And that's a livery that you can see from absolutely miles away, and particularly with his speed, he won't want to be seen, but we have to see what he can pull off here today. In P2, we have Kirk in that Dodge Viper, which is a very, very difficult car to pass. Those that have been on track with him will know exactly what I'm on about. Very hard to get past that gigantic American V10 car. And in P3 we have our Season 3 champion, KD the Guy, who in that silver and black GTR he's had a bit of a difficult season so far. He's pulled off a couple of sprint victories already, but it hasn't always gone his way, so he's going to look to be pulling down some good podiums and some solid points here today in the sprint race. And in P4, in that Ferrari 458, we have Sophie, who's still going to be riding high after that feature race victory at Suzuka a couple of events ago. Is going to be looking for a very good result here today as well. And in P5 we have Wise Fodder Boy, who is still new to our series. He's third race with us now, so quickly becoming a bit of a veteran and a Red Lobby regular in that Porsche 911. He is very, very quick, as we will no doubt see throughout this sprint, but good luck to him out there. And with that, Sarah, can you do the rest for us, please?
Of course I can. So starting in P6, just behind Fodder Boy, we have Mercedes in that very bright Year 1 Porsche 911, and he's a very clean racer, so I'm sure that he'll be able to again pick up a big haul of points, potentially on the podium again, so I'm excited to see what he can do from 6. But in P7 we then have Pedro in that BMW M6, and then in P8 the other half of Nighthawk in co-creator Midnight ISO in that McLaren 650S. In P9 he's back again, Return of the Mac Part 2. We have McManley in that Ferrari 458 and sporting a very bright new yellow livery, so again we'll see it from space. And in P10, rounding off the grid, we have the Dark Lord in that Toyota Supra, and he's looking to get on the podium if not win, so I'm excited to see what he can do. But that is the sprint grid, Midnight.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an interesting race, I feel. You're going to have to keep an eye, I feel, particularly on Kirk, and at the other end of the grid, the Dark Lord. You can never ever rule him out, but it's a tough grid there to get through. But lots of drivers who are going to be vying for podium points and looking at championship positions further down the season. So I think let's see how the sprint race unfolds, see what happens, and let's crack on with it.
Right, so here you join us for the sprint race around Deep Forest Reverse, and we have Charlie heading towards the start-finish straight in that 4GT with everyone lining up behind him. This marks the first race of the second half of the season, and he's crossed the line and away he goes. He's got Kirk in that Dodge Viper right behind him, who looks like he might be already challenging for the move here to get that first position, and he looks like he's just about got it done. Just look at that speed and power of that Dodge Viper in that first straight, Midnight, as we see everyone attempting to go through the hairpin. It looks like Kai had to brake a lot later there to avoid any incidents, but anything that you've spotted, Midnight? I know it was quite a chaotic, off the start, but it looks like everyone's got away fine, and Kirk trying to pick up an early lead with the speed of that Viper.
Yeah, Kirk off the line, super quick in that Viper. You can see Charlie looking a little bit tentative into the first big braking zone to the hairpin, but this is one of those tracks where you've got to have the confidence on the brakes. But Sophie making a move up to P3, getting past Kai, and then there's an incident. I don't know if there was a tap there or not, but Charlie in the wall with some damage, and that is going to ruin his race from pole position to begin with. But Kirk out front has just taken off, followed by Sophie, Kai, Mercedes, and Mac and Fodder. So fairly good racing so far, apart from Charlie. Won't be happy with that. But yeah, all I can say is I agree with you that Kirk has just disappeared out front already. He knows when he's hooked up, and you can see the confidence flowing through him today. But at the moment, Mercedes lighting up that 911 rear tyres, coming around the final corner. Looks like we're going to be round 2 straight away, straight into the big hairpin at the end of the first sector here.
Yeah, as we see the Dark Lord trying to go around the outside of Fodder Boy here, and potentially going on the outside of Mercedes as well, passing 2 911s, but he thinks better of it. He lets Mercedes through again, and Fodder looking like he's going to try and go for that inside line, but we all know the Supra is quite good on a straight line, so will he be able to get that position back? But obviously going back to what we said about Mercedes, it looked like he had a slight mistake coming out of that final corner, but it didn't hurt him too much. As we can see, he's already, still in that 5th place, and he's got quite a big gap to Dark Lord at the moment. And Dark Lord has just managed to get past Fodder again. And we see Midnight and Pedro having a little bit of a battle here for the first couple of laps, getting quite close to each other, the Nighthawk admin. But yeah, apart from that, we have Mac doing pretty well in P4 in that very bright Ferrari 458, and Katie Dekai looks like he's trying to challenge Sophie here in that 458. All nearly sideways with Sophie there. We all know how the tyres on the 458, they can be great one lap and not so great the next. But going over to Kirk as well, he's just seeming to just be quite chilled here at the moment.
Yeah, he's got hooked up.
Yeah, he's hooked up, and obviously that we know the speed and power of that Viper. He could just put his foot down and just speed away, and he looks like he's trying to do that now. I know obviously he'll probably see that Sophie and Kai are having a little bit of a battle now. As we see Sophie going to that outside line, Katie and Kai going on that inside line, which has brought him up to 2nd place here.
Yeah, he's been threatening that for a while. Sophie did get past him on the start, but yeah, there's no guarantee of staying ahead of Katie and Kai. And Fodder, despite being passed by our resident championship leader, the Dark Lord, is sticking with him. All cars basically in a line, well, except for our race leader at the moment, Kirk, who's just disappeared out front.
Yeah, as we see Katie Dekai and Sophie having a little bit of a battle again. They're going side by side through that tunnel section, but it looks like Katie Dekai managing to stay in front of the 458 driver here. And like you say, obviously going back to Dark Lord as well, he looks like he's trying to chase Mercedes here for that P5 position, and doing quite well. Obviously we know Dark Lord starting on the back of the grid. He doesn't take long to try and get to the front, does he, Midnight?
No, quite right. But unlike previous seasons, he's been involved in a lot of first lap or opening lap sprint race incidents. He's calmed all that down now. It's made him so much more dangerous over a race distance, particularly in the sprints. He's picking up solid points, and that is why, to me, he is leading the championship quite healthily as well. It's just removing all of those incidents that you had previously and just banging in a good result every single race. But speaking of good results, I do think Kai, now he's got clear of Sophie, he is heading towards Kirk. Kirk, although very, very quick, Kai is our Season 3 champion for a very good reason. And speaking of previous seasons, we have a renewed battle, this time in the 458, Sophie and Mac, who are very, very close together as well. But looking a bit further back, are the battles going on, Sarah?
Oh, a little bit of a battle between Midnight and Pedro there. It looked like Pedro may have squeezed Midnight a bit, but Midnight, seeing the gap there. And talking about gaps, he goes very late into that corner, forcing Pedro out wide, but manages to get that move done. And it looks like he's going to try and chase Fodder now. I'm not sure if that move caught Pedro out by surprise, but he's still sticking with Midnight, so potentially Pedro wanting that P8 back from Midnight. But apart from that, everyone seems to be kind of settling in. But like you say, I think the battle at the moment to watch is the battle of the Ferraris, as I'm going to call it, between Mac and Sophie. And also, Katie Kai might be going for the move for the lead here with Kirk. Maybe Kirk making a potential mistake, or the Katie Kai, the GTR, managing to close that gap to Kirk in the Viper. But it looks like Kai getting a very healthy bout of slipstream here, which could help him going into the hairpin Midnight. Yeah,
it looks like Kirk had a bit of a sloppy lap on that one, down to 27.6. So somewhere he's dropped 6 or 7 tenths, probably in that final sector. Kai's not going to get through on this one, but looking a bit further back, Matt going for the move on Sophie, who seems to be struggling at this point in the race. He started very, very brightly and has gone backwards for the last couple of laps. But we're going to see Sophie go back into the slipstream of Matt and hopefully try and make her way back through into the next hairpin, the right-hander at the end of the straight, which is downhill, very tricky to brake for and pass. You really have to pick your moment, particularly in the slipstream. Matt looks like he's going defensive, holding that line, but Sophie's going to try and come back at the inside for the next right-hander. This is going to keep going. These two going side by side. That is good drive from the pair of them. But they are bringing Mercedes with them, followed by Dark Lord Fodder with a half-second penalty, and the rest of the pack as well. So, but with Mac and Sophie fighting, it's going to slow them up, and yeah, this is one track you do not want people in your slipstream, particularly that long, almost about a kilometre long back straight. You do not want people behind you. Sophie looks like she's going for the move into that right-hander. A little bit rude there, Sarah.
A little bit elbows out by Sophie there, but she's just showing she's not here to play around. She wants that podium position. But the Ferraris are side by side over the start-finish straight towards that first hairpin. Sophie on that inside line, but will Mac concede the position, or will he try and go to the inside of this next corner? It looks like he concedes just a little bit. Obviously, both wanting to survive that first corner. But Dark Lord has managed to close that gap and overtake Mercedes in that last lap. A potential mistake from Mercedes there, as it look like Fodder's about to burn that half-second penalty as he lets Midnight and Mercedes through. But going back up to the lead, we could see a potential three-way battle for that P3 position now, Midnight, as Dark Lord looks like he's attempting to overtake Mac on the outside there. Oh, Sophie colliding with the barrier, which has brought Mac back into that P3 position, only temporarily, as they went side by side. But yeah, Mac back up to P3. Dark Lord potentially going for a move on Sophie around the outside here. Very brave, as we know that tunnel, it gets narrower and narrower the course now as they come through this twisty turny bit. But what's your thoughts on that, Midnight?
Well, that's very lucky for Sophie not to pick up any damage in reality. And just seeing out front, Kirk has managed to get away from Kai again. But this battle of 5 drivers, Sophie doing it again! She either breaks in a completely different place to Mac, or she is just as on the aggressive drive today. That was a bit spectacular. Mac won't be happy about that one, but at the moment, Mac, well, they're side by side coming into the first curve, and who is going to have the primary spot, I don't really know. But they've got Dartlord for company as well. A little bit of tap there from Dartlord, giving Mac the little bit of a push. And Mac's going to struggle to slow that down, but he's bringing the whole pack with him. I don't know where to go with this one at the moment. 6 drivers into one corner doesn't go. Well, Mac lucky. It looks like that little push from Dartlord has really, really helped him out. If he did struggle to slow it down, but that has, in effect, actually slowed down Dartlord because he's had to readjust himself. Following that has brought Mercedes back into the battle as well. So, yeah, 6 drivers all up into the one corner. That's a new one.
Makes an interesting battle for sure, and makes our job a lot harder. But just behind this battle, as Midnight has a little bit of a collision with the wall there. Saw some sparks flying, which has lost him a little bit of space to Mercedes. But going back, I saw Pedro overtake Fodder before that turn over the bridge, so he's looking to try and join this 6-way battle just in front of him. But yeah, Mercedes kind of on the back of these Ferraris and the Supra at the moment. I think he's biding his time though. He's waiting to see if they make any potential mistakes, or they slow themselves down in battle, so that Mercedes can just simply pick up the positions and just fly by them. But this is a very interesting battle so far. But going back up to the lead, like you say, Kirk still maintaining that P1 position with Katie the Kai in P2.
So here we go again, Sarah. Sorry to cut off across you. Mac onto the grass. Looks like maybe a little touch from Sophie there. Maybe a handbrake turn from Mac. He's lucky to not get any damage, but he has dropped 2 positions. Sophie, I think 4 positions. It's all gone off in that one corner. I don't know if there was any contact from the Dark Lord, but he has definitely profited from that one. He's gone from 5th to 3rd in one corner, and Mercedes up to 4th as well. So Mac down 2 or 3 places, and Sophie down 4, I think. And Mac...
Sophie looked like she's going to go for a very aggressive move, but gets caught out by the wall, and that does lose her quite a few positions there. She looked like she braked very deep into that corner, looking to attempt to make a move on Midnight, but unfortunately there was not enough space on track and getting caught out by the wall. But Midnight is now free to try and catch McManley in that 458 just in front of him. But yeah, like you say, the big winner of that, Dark Lord, he kind of just sat back, and obviously maybe potentially an incident between Sophie and McManley there, but that will definitely be one for the stewards, shall we say. But yeah, obviously some big winners, but also some big losers out of that one, costing themselves quite a few positions. But we're in lap 9, we've still got 3 laps to go, so there's still a lot of positions to be made up. And obviously Pedro making up a few positions as well, because Sophie unfortunately drops herself to P9 with that incident with the wall there. But it's good to see Charlie still circulating as well. Obviously, we know he got caught up in that first lap drama, but it's good to see him keep going, and he's not too far off the pack, Midnight.
Yeah, it's a good pace from Charlie. I know he won't be happy to be in that final position at the moment, but this red lobby is a very, very tough lobby, and that is putting it politely. I mean, again, like the likes of Kirk and Kai and Dartlord and Mercedes and Mac, just to name literally the top 5. So yeah, it's a lot going on, and I wanted to share a revelation I had just a moment ago. I was just thinking about Mercedes when you were talking about him hanging off the back of the battle in front. Something that I've seen before, very Prost-like. He tends not to go for any sort of silly manoeuvres or anything like that. Just sits there and lets the strategy play out, and you know, whatever he's thinking. Very strategic thinking there from Mercedes, and it has benefited him massively so far running in that P4. But, you know, observations aside, the action, as you can see, Kai is in fact drawn alongside Kirk, and now they're racing down to turn 1, Sarah.
Yeah, it looked like Katie the Kai managing to brake slightly earlier than Kirk there and going for the move on the inside, but that speed of the Viper, it just kind of sails past that GTR at the moment into this first hairpin here. But it looks like Katie the Kai can, you know, he can stay with Kirk for most of the lap, but it's just that start-finish straight and into that first hairpin where that Dodge Viper really kind of shows its true colours and true speed.
You're going to have to be careful though, because there's only a couple of seconds behind Dartlord himself. As we know, Louis himself is a very, very fast driver, and in that Supra they're going to be very, very aware that he is behind them a lot. But like you said, that Viper, Kai going for the move, very late on the brakes, very opportunistic. That's going to put Kirk off, and Kai is now going to have the racing line for the twisty section. He's going to have to try and break that slipstream from that Viper, because if Kirk is anywhere near the back of him, come that main straight and the back straight, he's going to be back past. But you can see Kai hustling the car through the tight corners, something the Viper cannot do. That's not, you know, a slight on Kirk's skill. It's as a car trait. But you can see Kai really hustling that GTR, trying to get away from him. He's like deploying NOS, DRS, and overtake all at the same time. But has he got far enough? Yeah, has he got far enough away from Kirk to negate the straight line advantage of that Viper? We'll find out.
I think, like you say, it might be on the bubble. Looks like the gap might be around a second. So maybe potentially just about to break that slipstream. But hopefully, you know, Kirk can close that gap again, try and get in the slipstream of Katie the Kai this next lap, and maybe make a last corner move to get back into that lead and win the race. Slightly further behind, like I say, we've got Darklord. I feel like we need, I know obviously his theme tune, you know, the kind of whenever you see Darth Vader in Star Wars, you know, the music comes on. I think we need that for, yeah, we need that for Darklord whenever he's behind anybody or looking to make a move. I think that kind of sums up Darklord perfectly. But yeah, apart from that, Mercedes in P4, just hanging on the back of Darklord here. I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with a P4, if not a potential last-minute podium if anything goes wrong in front of him. But Mac in P5 at the moment. I think he'll be slightly disappointed, obviously, with that incident, as it dropped him a few places and off of the podium. But Midnight is doing pretty well in P6, as it looked like a very drifty McManly through that first part of the twisty-turny part of the track, but manages to regain control, as it looks a very bit drifty there. It looks like you hit a bit of dirt coming out of the tunnel there. But oh, a little bit of a battle brewing between Wise for the Boy and Pedro. This has been a battle brewing for a couple of laps. Pedro managing to get a little bit more traction coming out of that final corner. But these seem pretty matched so far. And yeah, Sophie in P9 still, kind of on the track on her own at the moment. But we join Kirk and Katie the Kai on the final lap. Could we see a last minute move, Midnight, or do you reckon it's a bit too late?
Oh, I've got a feeling that Kai's just far enough away out of Kirk's reach, because Kai's so quick, particularly in that GTR through the twisty bits, and he's just about holding Kirk off at the moment. Although he's more efficient on fuel, Kirk, it's not going to really matter. This is a sprint race and the final lap, so it's so close between the two. I think Kai's got this nailed on for the win. And I have to say, well done to Kirk for holding back as long as he did, but you can definitely see that the field is spread out a little bit more now after the Ferrari stopped fighting. But I think where we see everyone is where it's all going to finish has been very tense, particularly in that middle part. Well, all the way up until we had the Ferrari separated, fortunately. But I think we're going to see Kai take the win, not convincingly, but we'll say earned, and earned very, very difficultly by getting past Kirk.
Yeah, as he goes across the finish line now, Kirk in P2, Dark Lord in P3, Mercedes in P4, with Mac just being able to hold off Midnight in P5, Midnight in P6. Again, Pedro managing to stay in front of Fodder Boy. Fodder Boy obviously having a bit of a difficult race. He had that kind of penalty in the first half of the sprint race, which just cost him quite a bit of time, and obviously Sophie in P9 and Charlie P10. But that was quite an interesting sprint race, Midnight. Obviously we saw a few incidents, a few kind of first lap dramas, but once that was all kind of ironed out, it seemed like quite a few battles were brewing, especially that battle of the Ferrari and that battle for the lead with KD Dekai and Kirk.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that was quite a bit of a thrilling race, actually. One of our most tense sprint races that we've had in a while, at the very least. That middle pack battle going on there, at 1.7 drivers long. But you have to sort of give it to Kai and to Kirk for putting on a bit of a masterclass, getting away from the rest of the pack as they did. And then also to our third place man, Dark Lord Louis, who come from the back to, he took a very methodical approach to this race, no sort of silly moves as far as I could see, and has made his car do the work for him and come away with a podium despite starting at the back. So good racing there, and I have to say, all the drivers there, it's good to see such close action without many incidents, so well done to them all there. So now, but I'll tell you what, that leaves me thinking I really want to see the future race.
Yeah, like I always say, if the sprint race is anything to go by, obviously we get nearly double, triple the amount of laps in the feature race. So I'm excited to see those battles just last a little bit longer and see everyone's kind of strategic masterminds, as I call them. But yeah, very excited to jump into the feature race, which I think leads us perfectly onto it. Let's go see how everyone got on.
Here are the results of Round 6 Deep Forest Reverse. So, in P1 we have Kirk in that Dodge Viper on a 125.420, one of the fastest laps I've ever seen around this track. So he's going to be beaming with excitement and yeah, very, very happy with himself for that pole position. 3 extra points as well. So, P2 we have Fodder in, also on the soft tyres on a 125.541. Swiftly followed up, very, very close, only a few thousandths away with Mercedes, ironically in that Porsche 911. Anywho, but in P3 on a 125.573, those three on the soft tyres. Up next we have KD Dekai on a 125.726 on the medium tyre, so he's put himself in very good stead for the feature race here today. And in P5 we have the Dark Lord, a couple of tenths behind on a 125.961, also on the medium tyres. Those two are going to be very, very rapid in the middle part of this race, so keep an eye on them, particularly when they get onto those soft tyres. And then in P6 we have Mclaren on a 126.393 in that Ferrari 458, and also qualifying on the medium, so he's not going to be one to discount. But with that in mind, sir, can you do the remaining drivers?
Of course I can. So, qualifying P7, we have Pedro in that BMW M6 with a 126.456. And starting just behind, we have Midnight ISO with a 126.562. So very similar to the sprint order earlier. Those two must like being next to each other on the grid. But in P9, we then have Charlie in that Ford GT with a 126.681, qualifying on the soft tyres, so he'll be very quick on the start. And in P10 we have Sophie in that Ferrari 458 for 126.698. And in P11 we have a late joiner for the feature race in Sofia, and she did not qualify, so she'll be starting in P11 at the back of the grid, but obviously that gives her free tyre choice for the start of the grid, so we'll see how and what she can do. Starting from the back, we all know how quick she is, but very interesting grid there, Midnight. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to get into it and see what happens, as again, very, very close qualifying session, especially in that kind of top 5/6 and all the different kind of compounds they've decided to start on.
Yeah, particularly those top three, all on the soft tyres there, very, very rapid. And yeah, it's going into this race is one of the races, I'd say there's a lot of anticipation there. We don't know who is going to win, we don't know who's going to get any sort of form of podium here. There's going to be a lot of strategy playing out here, but I think we have to put both Dark Lord and Katie Nakai in for top finish positions here, just because they are extremely rapid on whatever tyre that they're on, and the race will come to them. They've purposely chosen not to go for the points or the pole position, but they are going to be in the fight at the very least towards the end of the race, so keep an eye on those two there, and good luck to all the drivers out there. But with that in mind, Sarah, this race could be a bit of a cracker, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. Shall we?
Yeah, me too. Let's do it. Alright, so waiting for the lights to go out, the cars are revving and roaring and ready to go. We've got Kirk starting on par with Fodder right next to him. They both get a great start and everyone is away. They go for that first corner. Already I can see cars going 3 wide into this first part of the first corner. And talking about people going wide, we have it looks like Sophia trying to go into the inside past Pedro and potentially past Midnight, maybe looking for a potential late braking move, trying to go around the inside of Mac. A little bit of contact between McManley there and Sophia, but looks like everyone, to the majority, got away nice and clean there, Midnight.
Yeah, looks like Sophia being a bit ambitious in that first hairpin. Mac challenging the Dart Lord for P4. Looks like Kurt got a flyer off the line in that Viper, so he's trying to make up for the sprint. Not saying he didn't do well, because he did, he got a P2, but he wants that win. But looks like all further back, it's all settling down now after that first hairpin. And we got, yeah, you saw that, Sophia, damage front left, early doors. And we've
and we've had a little bit of a collision between Midnight and Pedro there. Didn't quite catch what happened there, but it looked like Midnight, a slight little bump to Pedro, potentially Pedro braking a little bit earlier than Midnight anticipated. But the two Nighthawk admins and co-founder come together, which drops them to P10 and P11, but I'm sure they'll sort themselves out in a minute, as that gives Sophia and Charlie P8 and P9. But looking further ahead, everyone's majority in the straight line. Kirk, having that advantage of the speed of that Dodge Viper, again is looking for an early getaway and to try and create as much gap as he can towards Mercedes, who's in P2, and I'm sure is loving, sitting in P2, not too far behind Kirk.
Yeah, it looks like Mac has got in between Dark Lord and Kai, and Mac is doing his absolute damnedest to hold back Kai. And in the background, we can see Charlie going a little wide in that first hairpin, but it looks like fairly respectful racing so far from all drivers. You can see the soft tyre runners like Kirk and Mercedes and Fodder trying to disappear up front. That's exactly what they should be doing, but they are being shadowed by Dark Lord, Mac, Kai and Sophie. And Sophia has somehow got up to P8 despite that damage. So the medium tyred drivers are going to be pressing forwards in the oncoming lap. So soft tyre runners are going to have to make do and try and make the most of those soft tyres whilst they still have them, Sarah. But you do see Mercedes, who has found a big turn of speed, particularly in this middle sector, and is chasing down Kirk. But it's catching Kirk is one thing, trying to pass him is another. He's bringing Fodder with him though.
Yeah. Obviously the battle of the two 911s are looking to try and make a move on Kirk here. But Kirk on this start-finish straight, it just seems to be in a complete different car. Different fuel to compared to the 911s. Obviously, they're quick, but they're not as quick as that Viper. So he's just got a slight advantage over the 911s here, especially on this first part of the course. But Mercedes and Ford are really able to stick with Kirk in the twisty turny bit of that second part, as I potentially thought that Ford was going to go for a move on Mercedes there, but thinks better of it. But that slipstream will be quite handy going into the next part of the course here. As looking further back, we have Katie Dekai trying to get on the rear of that 458 of McManley, and like I say, obviously Sophia with damage, but in PA, I think obviously that collision between Pedro and Midnight did help her out in that respect. We've got Charlie potentially looking for a move on Midnight here. Midnight going a very late break in there. I don't think... Oh, again, nearly gets caught out by the wall there as he came through that corner and has to give the place back to Pedro.
Pedro did the right thing there. He saw that coming and he gauged his braking perfectly and got got back round the corner, so good driving from Pedro.
Yeah, sorry, I nearly broke character there because it just looked like Midnight wasn't expecting a wall there in his face, so I had to let Pedro back through, and he's got change for the lead here as Mercedes has managed to make the move done on Kirk on the start-finish straight. Looked like it was a pass into the last corner, so Kirk on the back foot going into this first apex, but will he see him try and fight back? He's looking like he's going to go onto the inside corner, or inside line of this next corner, both side by side, but who's going to brake later? It looks like Mercedes brakes a little bit later, compromising Kirk's exit out of the corner, but good racing between the two here, Midnight.
Yeah, I mean, that was great driving from Mercedes and Kirk, who have sort of Mercedes held Kirk at bay for a little while, but that Viper down the back straight, he's coming through again. Will he get it stopped for that hairpin though? This is the tricky part of the track as far as I'm concerned. Now all Kirk has to do is use the acceleration of the Viper to stay in front. What have you spotted?
It looked like Katie the car was going to go for a late move on Mac, and it looked like it potentially could have come to a blow there between the two, but balance has been restored. Mac's still in P5, Katie the car is still in P6, as they both chose to survive that corner instead of writing each other off. But looking further behind, looks like Midnight's trying to close that gap on Sophia. Obviously, potentially might know that she's carrying damage, or obviously is not going as fast as what he expects. But this little battle here towards the back end of the grid looks like it's one to keep an eye out, as well as Pedro looks like he hit or nearly hit the wall there, goes slightly wide and lets Charlie through into that P10 position. As we see Midnight closing on Sophia here, potentially we might see another move into that first hairpin. Looking further up, we've still got Katie the Kai behind Mac, but it looks like it's about to heat up between the two Porsches of Fodder and Mercedes, but Kirk is still in the lead with Dark Lord looking for a way through in P4.
Yeah, Dark Lord also on those medium tyres. With those three in front of him fighting, Dark Lord's going to be laughing because he's got pristine medium tyres. Well, the soft tyres are going to start dropping off soon. And Kirk has made a break for it out front. He's got a little bit of a gap to Mercedes now. You can see Dark Lord making a move on Fodder into the braking zone. He's got it done. Can he get the car rotated? He does. So he takes P3 from Fodder. Max still holding back Kai. Sophie in a little bit of no man's land at this point, and as you can see, the move on Sophia just about done there.
Just about done. Sealed and delivered that one by Midnight. As I was gonna obviously commentate over Dark Claw's move there. It was a very brave move, and Midnight potentially seeing that and does the same to Sophia, because obviously that corner, as you come out of the tunnel, it's all about how late you can brake but still survive the corner. And Midnight and Dark Lord showing a big hit on the wall by Sophia there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's very easy to do as well, Sarah.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the wall maybe just caught Sophia out by surprise there, but she's pitting straight away to repair that damage and try and get back into the fight. But that has promoted Charlie into that P9 position. He looks like he's going to try and chase down Midnight for that P8 position. But I think obviously Charlie's feature race start is going a little bit better than the sprint, which is good to see. And further up the grid, we've still got that bit of a battle between the somewhere Fodder has lost quite a few seconds to the Dark Lord, but not too far away. But I was just looking at Mercedes and Kirk here. They're still, still looking to try and make these soft tyres work. They've only got a few laps to really kind of capitalise on their performance before obviously we might see them hit and swap onto the medium tyres. But yeah, the Dark Lord looks like he's getting closer and closer each lap, Midnight.
Yeah, the Dark Lord really hooked up around him, and again on those medium tyres, he's only going to get quicker as well. But that's, like you said, Kirk and Mercedes really have to go for him right now. The one battle I'm really keeping an eye on is Mac and Kai. Kai basically pushing that 458 around the corners. You're going to have to say Kai's a very level-headed kind of guy, but he might be getting a little bit frustrated looking at the gearbox of that Ferrari. As Mac will go defensive coming into the right-hander. Kai trying to go the long way, which will be the inside for the next one, and then the outside again. So Mac choosing his defensive line well. It looks like Kai has actually got him, but Mac coming back at him for the inside. Little bit rude, but do you know what? I think that was good racing from the pair. Neither of them getting away with penalties or already damage. That might have annoyed Kai a little bit. But one thing I've got to state is Pedro has pitted and gotten rid of that damage, gone to the soft tyre, and so has Sophia. So those two are now alternate strategies. But this battle for fifth still raging on. Can Mac keep Kai behind him? This is the key. But that 458 is really good in the middle sector, particularly in the hands of Mac. But it's not going to stop him coming under pressure from Kai, of all people. That's the tall order to hold Kai behind him, isn't it?
Yeah, and like you say, obviously, the more that KD Kai is behind, seeing that rear of that very bright 458, shall I say, he'll be eager to try and pass him as quick as he can, and to try and chase, the battle for the podium potentially. As we see them nearly going side by side through the last corner, who's going to get the better exit? Looks like they both kind of get matched, although Katie the Kai picking up a lot of dirt, which loses a little bit of time to McManley here. But yeah, that last lap, it looked like McManley able to predict where Katie the Kai was going to place his car, and able to, catch him out a little bit by surprise, but also very defensive going into that hairpin, which was good to see Matt going quite defensive and showing us his skills, as it looks like they're going to attempt to go side by side through the hairpin again. Katie the Kai on the inside of this time, as they come together a little bit of a tap on that rear quarter, but no foul play as yet, as Katie the Kai is still looking for that P5 position. But further up, it looks like Mercedes is getting closer and closer to Kirk here. Potentially, Kirk clean air, yes, but obviously with like Kirk nearly hit the wall there. I'm not sure if it did class as a hit, but a half-second penalty to Kirk, which it doesn't, help him at all, as he's got Mercedes right behind him.
And the biggest problem for Kirk is not that half-second penalty, is that when you have a hit like that, and even if you get away with it, it throws you off your rhythm. And then the bigger problem still, that has brought Dark Lord right into the picture. Like we said in the sprint race earlier on, Dark Lord has gotten rid of a lot of these small incidents that he's had throughout the previous seasons, and he's just a menace all of the time now, and that is the last person you want behind you. And my favourite quote, would you want Genghis Khan or Dark Lord behind you? I'll choose Genghis Khan, please. It doesn't really matter for Mercedes who's ahead now.
I was going to say, I think it may be Mercedes listening to you there and thinking, oh, am I going to let Dark Lord through there? I don't know. But already Dark Lord is on the back of Kirk here, so, a certain dominance is Dark Lord here. Gets a little bit of a bad exit, gets caught up with Kirk, which lets Mercedes come back into the fight. Those two going side by side, and potentially maybe a freeway move going into this next corner here.
Yeah, I don't know where this is going to go. It looks like Dark Lord's going to go from P3 to P1 in the space of about 4 corners. Mercedes braking very ultra late, hitting the apex, but that's pushed Kirk out wide a little bit further. It's just gained a place, maybe 2. But it looks like, I'm not going to say a mistake from Mercedes, but that was ambitious at best. But it has definitely put Kirk off his game. Kirk, yeah, his tyres, I think he's got them dirty and he's off his rhythm, so he's run a bit wide into that left-hander, but he's got away with no damage. But that has put Dark Lord up into a commanding P1, and these soft tyre runners now are starting to struggle, Sarah.
Yeah, obviously those soft tyres, they don't last as long as you want them to last, unfortunately, as we see Katie the Kai picking up a
He's
half-second
got
penalty
ahead of
there.
Max
And
somewhere.
Mercedes, he has unfortunately missed out in the battle for the lead, but we also have a first pitter in Mercedes as well, so must have heard us again talking about those soft tyres and think it's time to come off of those tyres now. But yeah, somewhere in that last lap, unfortunately we missed it. It was Mac,
And Kurt
unfortunately losing
and
that
Charlie.
place to Katie the Kai. But yeah, great call as well there. Obviously, Kirk, again, obviously, like you say, got those tyres a little bit dirty. They've probably seen better days, so the best time to come in and pit is probably now. But Katie the Kai is about to lose that position back to McLaren, having to burn that penalty. So the chase is now on for Katie the Kai and Mac again.
Yep, I completely agree. Fodder looks like he's come out of that very, very well. One thing I've noticed with him, particularly last week at the Deep Forest non-reverse, he was very good on his tyre wear. He just got a bit unlucky with an ill-timed spin. Not that it was ever a good one, but that dropped him more positions than what he was probably expecting at the time, because obviously the red lobby is very, very close. But Fodder very good on his tyre wear, taking these softs 10 laps, which to me is outstanding. But it looks like the rest of the other drivers got to 9 laps and thought that's enough. But that will, I think that will allow them to undercut Fodder a little bit, so that might pay him back later on, particularly with that tyre wear advantage. We have to wait and see how it figures out going forwards. But Fodder deciding 10 laps is enough on that. But that gives our Dark Lord a commanding lead, with Mac sitting in P2 after Kai served that half-second penalty. I think Mac needs a medal so far for holding back Kai, because we all know how quick Kai is.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think he definitely deserves a medal so far. And if obviously this battle lasts right until the end, he deserves many more medals. But also, you know, Katie the Kai is showing that he's not afraid to make those moves on Max. So potentially we may see Katie the Kai going for a very brave move towards the end of the race if these two are still very close to each other after their various pit stops. But yeah, like you say, obviously the soft runners coming into the pits, changing their tyres, and obviously we'll see the mediums runners still go a little bit longer into the race. But it'd be interesting to see obviously how the different strategies play out towards the end. I always try and predict it and I never can, but it looks like everyone doing a pretty good job so far. Kirk on the back of Fodder here, giving Fodder a little bit of a bump draft, helping each other out going into this next corner, which is nice of Kirk. Obviously helps each other out and brings you a little bit closer to the next competitors as well.
Yeah, looks like Kirk is settling down after that near incident he had with the wall earlier on. But he has, saying it, he's done it again. He's just glanced that wall. He's pushing his luck a little bit. But looking at the two 911 drivers, Mercedes has undercut Fodder because he's obviously had the medium tyres a little bit longer, fresh medium tyres. But we're going to see, I think, Fodder come at Mercedes in towards the end of the stint especially, and Kirk, he's just going to be biding his time trying to get in that slipstream and pass Fodder. Yep.
We've had a bit of a collision with the wall again on that last corner by Charlie, picking up quite a bit of damage, and let's see if he goes another lap. But it looks, he pulls over to the right. This looks like he's going to come in and repair that damage. Obviously a big hefty whack to the wall there, unfortunately for Charlie. But yeah, obviously it's very easy to do, like you said earlier, when you clip that wall even a tiny bit. And I believe that he has decided to retire, so maybe the damage too much from that 4GT. Unfortunate to see Charlie retiring, but hopefully we'll see him back next race better than ever for Trial Mountain. But coming back into this race now, we have everyone kind of settling into the rhythm, like you said earlier. Our closest battle on track at the moment looks to be Kirk and Fodder and Katie the Kai and Mac.
I would agree entirely. At the moment, Kirk, despite running P1, is now running at the back, but it's one of those when the strategy starts shaking out a little bit. We've got a few drivers who have already pitted, like Mercedes, like Fodder and Kirk, off those soft tyres, and now they're on the what we're going to call the prime tyre, the medium tyre for the race, which is much better suited to this track, particularly on those obviously longer runs. You can see Sophia, who has pitted, didn't take on, I'm not sure she took on any fuel, she didn't take on any fuel, but she is kind of running out of sync at the moment with these gents behind her. But we're going to see how it all shakes out when everyone has done their first stops.
Yeah, and I thought potentially a move might have been made here. It looks like it is going to be a change of position for Katie Dekai, doing a very, very good move there on Mac, where he went into the inside line, caught Mac out a little bit by surprise, having to force him onto the outside line on that next part of the corner, and manages to get P2 done and dusted. But obviously Mac will be eager to get that P2 back and continue this fight between the two.
Yeah, you can see Mac's rear tyres are a little bit worse off than the GTR of Kai in front, but the front tyres for Kai are a little bit worse than the 458 behind. So it's one of those swings and roundabouts. We know the 458, it does tend to shred rear tyres, and the GTR isn't very kind on its front. So you're going to see this battle ebb and flow a little bit, particularly through different corners. But just because Kai's in front, don't expect Matt not to try and come back at him. That's what we learned so far, Sarah. But otherwise, looking through the field, we've got Sophie running in P4. We haven't seen much of her yet, but obviously we've still got a long distance in this race to go. But looking a little bit further back, Sophie comes in for her stop. Looks like she might be thinking about getting off those medium tyres, going on to a free stop strategy. And then we have still Kurt keeping a watchful eye on fodder. So that battle is going to continue to run and run. Kirk in practice round here was mega fast, but he's going to have to tone down a couple of those little mistakes that we've seen so far, and then he will try and move forward, I feel.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Obviously we all make mistakes. Obviously minimising those mistakes is crucial when you're racing side by side with people. But going to your earlier point of Sophie, like I say, we haven't mentioned her too much already. She's kind of had one of those quiet starts to the race where she's not involved in the drama. She's just able to get through, everything doing their thing. And I've got to say, sitting pretty high in P4, which is really good to see. And hopefully she'll be able to keep it that way throughout the race. Obviously, starting on the medium tyres, going for that longevity in that first stint, but not too far behind in the distance. We have Midnight in that very mean looking McLaren 650S, looking to chase down Sophie here, so she'll be eager to try and keep this lead on Midnight, but he's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, that's the idea. That is the idea. These long run medium tyres tend not to suit the Ferrari, as we know. Mac will be experiencing the same problem as Sophie right now. And Pedro has come in for his second stop. This is the first of the scheduled stop for Pedro, so he will be, I'd imagine, switching off those softs and going to mediums. But out front, it looks like Dark Lord is settling in for, I'm not going to say a Sunday afternoon drive, because he has had to work to get there, but all he has to do now is keep that car out of the wall and bring it home. Mac has helped Dark Lord out, I feel, with keeping Kai behind him for 13, 14 laps of this race, but it's still not over yet. You can see Kai, his front tyres are starting to wear. That will be really starting to affect his pace. But you can see a lot of drivers who are on those mediums, who started on them, lap 15 is where it starts to become difficult. The back end of some cars tends to start letting go. You have to start measuring your response coming out of the corner, and the front tyres, once they go, the speed just drops. So this is the tricky portion of the race for those medium starting runners.
Yeah, obviously this track very heavy on those front tyres, especially just because of wanting to turn in that front end for some of these corners. And like you say, when you lose that grip on the front end, it does make it 100 times more difficult to predict what the car's going to do. Might throw you into the corner one time, or can completely you miss the apex next. So yeah, drivers will be wanting to try and keep on top of their tyres and try and look after them for as long as they can. But it looks like Kurt going on the back of Fodder here. It looks like they're getting a little bit closer this lap. although Kirk went a little bit wide there, picking up quite a bit of dirt on his tyres, which may affect him a little bit in this fight for P7. But looking across the board, we're getting to that point where everyone's kind of getting into their rhythm after their first or second pit stop, and we'll probably see loads more battles resume shortly as Midnight's getting ever so closer to Sophie here. She'll start to see in the rearview mirror a very mean looking red and black McLaren, so she'll be eager to put her foot all the way down on that accelerator and try and keep him behind for as long as she can.
You can see Sophie hustling that Ferrari, drifting out of the final corner. You know when someone's pushing when you see that in front of you. Oh, what can I say? That's always entertaining to see. Having a look round.
Especially when it's Ferrari.
Yeah, oh, quite right. Having a look round, it does look like, well, I agree with you, it's sort of settled down at the moment now. We're in sort of the phase where there's no direct battles. Was that probably the exception of, a couple of little sets of drivers, but it's starting to settle down. It's where the strategy really starts to play. And we have to wait a bit, see how it all unfolds. But Sarah, at the moment, who are you?
At the moment, sorry to interrupt you there, Midnight. We've had a bit of a crash there at the last corner. Sophia hitting the wall like we've seen a couple of drivers do, and instantaneously quitting out of the race. So a bit of a mistake from Sophia there potentially, but we see her drop from the race, which we're now down to 9 runners. Those 9 runners quite close to each other at the minute, and I'm sure obviously will still provide us with a lot of action as we see, like you say, Sophie pushing that Ferrari 458 into that last corner, and Midnight getting very close to that ball as well. But obviously we see green flags again, a temporary yellow flag where that incident happened. But yeah, very unfortunate for Sophia then, Midnight.
Yeah, it happens, and sometimes frustration can get the better of you. But simply put, that won't be one that will please the stewards, nor will it be points on the board. So, unfortunate for Sophia there, but at the end of the day, we've still got a lot of drivers left in the race that we can still focus on. But I am noticing a lot of drivers, particularly the Dark Lord and Kai, really starting to struggle with that front right tyre. So they're going to be in. It's got to be imminently. It really has. We know lap 18, 19. If you're on a two stop strategy, so 18 or 19 is the right point to start thinking about your first stop on those mediums. And you can see they're going to be really wanting to get on a fresh set of tyres very, very soon, because no one's tyres look very good at the moment. I can imagine Mercedes is going to jump up the field in a minute, because he's already had his stop and effectively undercut all of these drivers.
Yeah, no, I think obviously if he sees all these top runners coming into the pits, he'll be very happy that he gets to, kind of go in the lead for a little bit, get a bit of clean air, and really show us the speed that he has. But as see Dark Lord coming into the pits now, will Kader the Kai follow? He will probably have to, but no, he goes there. Actually, Kader the Kai and McManley are both going for another lap, so they obviously fuel lights are flickering, but they think that they can last just another lap, and it's going to have to be a fast in lap, because Dark Lord will try and want to get back on that first position, as we see Midnight going, potentially getting very, very close to Sophie here into this hairpin, but the two drivers still in the positions we saw them earlier. Sophie getting a better exit than Midnight out of that hairpin, and like you always say, balance has been restored. No movements as yet between the two, but I'm sure Midnight eager to make a move, or just start a little bit of a battle between Sophie. I know these two drivers, when they get side by side, there is a lot of respect, so eager to see a little bit of a battle brewing between these two. But it looks like Dark Lord has now come out of the pits in P8 with a fresh set of tyres, a fuel full to the brim, and looking to try and get back onto that lead as soon as he can, Midnight. Oh, yeah, Midnight coming into the pits nearly sideways, but not quite. I'm sure that would have been a bit of a brown trouser moment for Midnight coming into the pits, but no damage, no, well, maybe talent damage, I don't know. You'll have to ask him that one. Yeah. But obviously, true, very true. But that does promote Sophie into the lead, and I'm sure she will be loving a clean lap. You know, no tyres. You know, imminently behind her. She gets a little bit of chill time. Actually, I believe she will have to come in this lap as well, as that fuel doesn't look like it's close to the empty. But Mercedes in P2 now, like you say. Obviously, he did a pit before these guys, so potentially made that undercut work, and we shall see if he manages to make it work. As we've seen the guys coming out of the pits now, Mac in P3. I don't know about you, but you can tell when that Ferrari tyres are down to the canvas, can't you? Yes, and Midnight has jumped Sophie in the pits, so maybe a strategic masterclass by Midnight, or just perfect timing. But that does see, obviously, the position swapped between Sophie and Midnight, and the roll is on the other foot with Sophie. She'll have to try and chase Midnight down now. Both fresh set of rubber, both a full tank of fuel. So obviously this may be a battle that we see come to a head right at the end. But going back to Manley's choice of tyres, softs for that middle stint, we don't see it very often. So it's quite an interesting call by Mac here. Yeah, I think she'll definitely be one to keep an eye on, as we see Kirk pick up a half-second penalty, unfortunately, which again obviously won't go in his favour when he's trying to chase the Porsche driver. Oh, a little bit of a sideways moment from Fodder there, as he does pick up a bit of damage on that front right and bumper Midnight. Oh, as we see Kirk. I did. Obviously, very unfortunate, like you say, for Kirk there, but I'm sure he'll be able to get back up into fight for a few positions here. But yeah, Dark World getting caught out a little bit by surprise. But it just goes to show, having any sort of lead around this track really does help. Because obviously he had quite a big advantage to McManley especially. So even having that little bit of an incident on the grass there, didn't lose him too much time to Mac. But yeah, I'm sure Dark Lord will be eager not to lose too much time to Mac, because we know that he's quite fast, and obviously his second only feature race in this Ferrari, so still getting used to it some way, as we normally see Manley in the Mercedes. So I don't know, this might be a pairing for the future that we might see more, Midnight, Mac and the Ferrari.
Yeah, he seems to enjoy the car. I mean, we're obviously used to him being in the AMG throughout all of his time with Nighthawk Racing, but unfortunately he has picked up a half-second penalty, so he won't be overly happy about that. He does seem to be getting on with the car quite well. He's enjoying the change. He's enjoying the different style of driving. The 458 be a bit more oversteery, which we can obviously see with for Sophie and Matt today. But he's enjoying it, and that's the ultimate goal of what we want here. We want you to enjoy the racing, enjoy the coverage and everything that is brought on here. But Fodder won't be enjoying that damage that he's got on that front right in aero.
No, obviously making the opposite decision of Kirk. Fodder staying out with that damage, but Kirk, obviously, like you say, he made the call to come into the pit straight away, not wanting to drive on any sort of damage. But obviously he'll have to factor that into any of his strategic calls that he may make in the future in this race. But yeah, like I say, unfortunate for Kirk, as he did look like he was having a good race and getting back into that rhythm after that kind of first stint dramas. But that does drop him to P9. Not too far down the course is Pedro in that P8. Obviously, again, first kind of stint dramas affecting his race just a little bit. Not having the best of races, but that BMW around this track, it is a handful. So, he's trying his best, and I'm sure towards the end of the race he'll be able to make that BMW come alive. But apart from that, Midnight, anything catching your eye, or just kind of, surveying the land, seeing where everyone is, as they seem kind of spaced out at the moment, no one too close together.
Yeah, it's kind of that weird part of the race where just over halfway through, the first stops are done. Some people's second stops are done. I mean, once you've had factor in a few little bits of accidental damage and whatnot, but it's all settling down now. And you can see some drivers moving away at their own pace. I have to say, I'm just keeping an eye. It is worth saying, like you said with that M6 and Pedro earlier on, he's obviously at the moment E3 in the championship, and he's not having what we say the best of race today, but he is having a good solid race. His pace, considering the difficulty of the car and what he was having in practice here, as Mercedes comes into the pits for what might be his final stop already, so that's nice and early for him. Or actually, could he be going to a free stop? We'll come back to that. But yeah, it's good to see Pedro soldiering on, getting the points on the board, and unfortunately having a little bit of an oversteering moment, being chased down by Kirk, which is never fun. But yeah, Mercedes coming in. That must be a free stop where he's going to, Sarah. That is probably too early for a stop to the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can make. I don't know even if a magician could make any sort of tyres last 20 laps around Deep Forest Reverse. So maybe he's got some secret tricks up his sleeve, but or he will come for another pit stop slightly later into the race. But that does drop him down to P7 by the time that Sophie comes around that corner there. But yeah, obviously that does promote Fodder into P1. And it looks like he will have to come in shortly after as well. But yeah, good pit stop from Mercedes there. Not losing too much time to a car in front. Obviously, he'll still be in that kind of slipstream range. But it looks like Kirk has dropped a little bit back from Pedro. again, trying to find his rhythm back into the race.
One thing
But
of
yeah, like
note,
you say,
Sarah.
weird part of the race.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing of note. Everyone's still on the lead lap, so it is one of those. Even if you're in the lead at the moment, if you have a incident, you can still fall all the way to the back. So the jeopardy is on from first all the way to ninth at the moment.
Yeah, it just goes to show how close these drivers really are. And talking about close, I didn't realise how close Dark Lord has got to Wise Fodder Boy already. Like I was just saying, it looked like Fodder was having quite a a lead where he could chill out a little bit, kind of like Sophie earlier. But no, that is not the case. He's got Dark Lord right behind him. So Dark Lord eager to make the move done into that first position, regain the lead, and then I'm sure Dark Lord will be able to chill out as it looks like Fodder moves over, letting Dark Lord hit that apex, and into P2 Fodder goes, and into first place Dark Lord goes again. And,
yeah, he didn't fight that, Sarah.
No, it's it, and we all know it's Dark Lord's favourite place to be, so not missing the opportunity to go past Fodder, but like you say, picking battles, Fodder knowing that potentially this is not his battle at the moment, and just lets Dark Lord go back into the lead with no dramas.
Yeah, he didn't fight that at all. He knows he's got damage. He knows his tyres are nearing the end of their life. He's just trying to get to the end of this stint. I think Fodder will be going to the end on this one. He's going to pit, I would imagine, next lap after, and then he's thinking final stint, not this stint. It wasn't his fight, so that's very sensible racing from Fodder there, but he has now got Mac, who isn't too far behind him on those soft tyres. Even he will start to think, I need that final stop to get off these soft tyres, because they are, well, they're melting at the back on that 458. So he's going to be wanting a new set of boots as well. And then Kai running P4, which I'm going to say is a net P2 at the moment, but he's, I'm not going to say a sizable distance off Dark Lord, because it is not. It's 8 or so seconds, but again, one incident here can easily drop you at 10 seconds, and it could be game on again for the win. So Kai running, I think, a net P2 once the two in front of him take the next stop. But as we can see, a battle brewing between Sophie and Mercedes there. Mercedes on the fresh mediums, and Sophie with a little bit less fuel, which make the car a bit easier to turn, but running slightly older tyres in P6.
Yeah, I was watching this battle through a few corners now, and like you say, I think brewing is the right word at the moment. They've got a bit of a Mercedes has got a bit of a gap to close at the moment to Sophie, but like you say, the advantage of being slightly lighter in fuel really does help around this track. As you can see, obviously Sophie able to put the power down slightly early, although it didn't look like she nearly drifted around that corner. But yeah, it looks like that little bit less fuel has made an advantage for Sophie, as Mercedes not quite able to catch her in that twisty turny bit, as I call it. But maybe it's his time to shine on this start-finish straight, and into lap 29, as we see Fodder coming into the pits as well, probably to put on a fresh set of rubber to the end and repair that damage, most importantly.
But it is interesting though, I know I've said it already with all drivers on the same lap. Once you pit at the moment, you're coming out at the back, even if Fodder was leading a minute ago. So it's really top to bottom of a pit stop at the moment, is it? It is. Although we can say there's gaps of all of these cars, generally the field spread is quite low. Even with cars that have had damage, such as Pedro and Kirk, they're all in the same couple of sectors, really.
And that's what I love about the Red Lobby and Nighthawk, because, like you say, the battles, obviously, they ebb and flow, but they're all on the lead lap at the moment, and like you say, even one small mistake could see you lose a few positions here, as they are incredibly close to each other, and it just goes to show how fast they really are, and but also, most importantly, how kind of they're all matched on speed. Obviously, some cars have their own characteristics, maybe a slight advantage in straight line speed, but all in all, they're making our job a lot harder because they always seem to get into battles. But can't complain, as I like seeing battles. But yeah, it's good to see all across the grid, you know, drivers engaging in a bit of battle, and even like you say, when they're having to pit to repair damage, they're not kind of losing too much time to the rest of the grid.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good battle at the moment. You can see that Sophie and Mercedes aren't holding each other up. As we said earlier on, my own personal view on Mercedes is he won't go for a silly move. He works with the driver in front, perhaps saving a bit of fuel in a slipstream. Something we haven't mentioned so far today. If you can stay with the driver in front of you and just short shift a little, maybe go down a fuel mode, you save yourself a heck of a lot of fuel, which will pay you back massively later on. But with the added, I'm not going to say frustration, but added maybe problem of being behind another driver. So it is one of those things, you can drive smart and get yourself a lot of opportunities, but you're also stuck behind a driver. That said, I don't think Mercedes is doing that. He started to push Sophie rather hard. Sophie lighting up those rear tyres, giving us another display of what is frankly good car control under very difficult circumstances. As night is starting to fall here, the headlights have been on for a while, but it's now going to be getting to that point where the drivers are going to start after contending with the darkness from deep forest here. As Mac comes in for his final stop, here he is. Getting
on 0% fuel again.
Yeah, he's just about coasted that in, and that rear right, we should have been watching him. His rear right tyre has gone completely. Now, I mentioned earlier on that you perhaps want to get off those tyres before they get down to the canvas, have a better average speed. But that said, he's got himself into the window when he has to do 15 laps on the means which he knows the Ferrari will do. And somewhere, Kirk has got past Pedro. I haven't seen it, but we can now see those glowing discs from all the cars. It looks beautiful. But Kirk up to P6 at the moment. Matt taking his final stop and getting out of the pits now.
Yeah, potentially a mistake from Pedro there, or a little bit of battle that we did miss. So apologies from us. We need eyes everywhere in this race. As like you said, there's always things going on, and we've still got this battle between Mercedes and Sophie brewing. And going back to your early point about Mercedes, I couldn't agree more with what you said about him. About he's a great racer. He works with the drivers around him, also to better them, but to better himself as well. And you notice sometimes he kind of pops his head out a little bit and tries to insert the front of that Porsche into gaps. And if he knows that he can't go for it, he will back off and try again another corner. And I've got to say, he's got great racecraft, and I'm excited to see obviously how he gets on with this battle with Sophie. But for the rest of the season so far, he's been a great addition to the grid, because like I say, I couldn't praise him high enough. He's such a great racer, and it looks like he might be going for a move here. Thinks better of it, chooses life. But yeah, a lot of praise for Mercedes. Obviously, he just shows that having some racecraft it really does help, but also not going for those moves where you sometimes question, was it the right time to go for those moves. He really does kind of calculate what he does, and that really will help in this battle here.
He's thinking about the overtake now, Zara.
Yeah.
With Sophie thinking about a new set of rear tyres very soon. But yeah, quite right. It's really nice to have drivers on the grid which go about racing in a very different way. We have the flat out pace from, say, Dartlord and Kai, both very good wheel to wheel and definitely have improved this season as well. And then we do have Mercedes, who's very quick as well, also very racing smart. And Sophie seems to just drive by her fingertips. It's fun to watch though, isn't it? The two very, very different methods of going racing and very different cars, but yep, here we are, they're stuck nose to tail for multiple laps in a row.
Yeah, and it looks like Mercedes even closer this lap, potentially looking to go for the move even before the hairpin arrives. Although Sophie, going defensive, goes for that inside line, breaks slightly over that crest here, goes into the middle of the track, forcing Mercedes to the outside line of the hairpin. And it looks like Mercedes might have got a slightly better exit out of the corner. but relatively match the two cars here as they go into the first tunnel. Maybe potentially going side by side in the next tunnel, although Sophie goes very defensive, pinching Mercedes into the wall slightly, but Mercedes goes into that inside line and is braking. He might not get the move done though. A little bit of a touch from Sophie there. Again, elbows out by Sophie, but it was nearly a good move by Mercedes, although it just looked like if he could have inserted a little bit more road there to help him brake and make that move done, I'm sure he would have. But yeah, unfortunate not being able to make that move stick that lap. But I'm sure we'll try again next lap, midnight.
Yeah, a little bit rude from Sophie, but maybe one for the stewards later on. Let's see if these two sort it out on the track first. But again, good racing from these pair. But I think we have to have a quick look around the rest of the grid at the moment. It looks like Dart Lord, he's going to be starting to think yet again, I want a new set of tyres. So he's going to be getting towards the end of the life of those mediums. And Kai looking good. Now he's got 3 of Mac. So he's looking good for P2 at the moment. And these, you can't take your eyes off them. They're going at it again.
Similar to last lap, Mercedes going on the outside line, Sophie on the inside line. Again, both relatively the same as last lap, getting a decent exit out of the corner. It seems a bit closer this time, so Mercedes going for that side-by-side action a little bit earlier, but forcing Sophie onto the inside line here, so we may see the roles reversed round here as we see Mercedes pitting and Sophie conceding place to Mercedes there, so Mercedes able to make that position stick this time.
Yeah, I think at a certain point she knew that was inevitable. Mercedes tyres significantly younger at this point, but I think Sophie is... There's an ethical question in racing. Do you fight someone for all of your worth at every 10th of a second? And Sophie, yep, fighting the rear tyres. Do you fight for all your worth every corner, every lap, or do you let someone go knowing you're on different strategies? For Sophie on that one, I think it was you have to fight, because I think she probably knows Mercedes is going to have to pit again. Therefore, it's her job to somewhat hold him up and compromise his strategy without trying to compromise her own. But unfortunately on that one, last couple of laps, they have been slowing each other up a little bit. It looks like about a second and a half a lap. So it's going to allow drivers like potentially Kirk to come back at them. So we will see. Kirk's going to have to hit again as well, as he has picked up another half-second penalty from somewhere. And then you got drivers like Fodder who have made their final stop. It's just a tricky one, Sarah. We know Mercedes is on a free stop. He had to get past Sophie, and I think he's had his race compromised by that battle a little bit, but hey, at the very least it was entertaining for us.
Yeah, I've got to say it was entertaining for us, and hopefully, obviously, it doesn't affect his race too much. But like I say, you can't really complain. Get a nice little battle. Get to kind of know your, not your rivals as such, but your competitors, the drivers around you a bit better as well. How they race all kind of builds into your racecraft again. So if they ever come side by side again, Mercedes and Sophie know how each other race now, which is obviously good for future events. But yeah, as we see Midnight, I was just having a look on board across the other drivers. Midnight in a very, very comfortable P3 position at the moment. Obviously, you've got about a quarter life on those tyres at the moment, so potentially he might be going to the end. We've got 10 laps left, or we might see a very last minute pit stop by Midnight there. He usually uses the weird and wonderful pit stop strategies, as I call them. Potentially another interesting one today, but yeah, like I say, very comfortable in the P3 at the moment, and you can, on board with Mercedes, you can just about see Midnight, so that might be Mercedes' next goal to try and get back on top, or near Midnight, should I say, as he can just about see those rear lights of the Mclaren. But obviously it's getting dark at Deep Forest now, Midnight. You can really see those glowing discs like you said earlier, and I've got to say the cars do look pretty cool going around the track in the dark. Obviously not as dark as Suzuka that we saw a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sure the drivers will enjoy the fact that they can see a little bit better.
Yeah, just a little bit. And that's one thing we found out at Suzuka was that some people couldn't see hardly anything, so it was entertaining. So sometimes it comes down to the screen or settings, but at the end of the day it was entertaining. If anyone hasn't seen the Suzuka race, I urge people to go and check out, particularly in my personal favourite, this one, the red lobby there. The blue lobby was great as well, but the red lobby, the drive from Sophie there, was pretty damn good, as Kai's Xeon headlights are lighting his way. Lots of battles still to come, I feel. And this Dark Lord comes out of his pits for the final stop just in front of Mercedes on fresh soft tyres.
Yeah, that was just about saw that at the same time as you, and I was going to say, wonder if the two are going to come very, close to a contact there, but obviously both doing a good job to avoid any sort of contact. And Dark Lord, obviously, like you say, making that last minute pit stop for another set of rubber, which will take him to the end, I suppose, at this point during the race. But Mercedes obviously potentially didn't think he would be caught in a battle with Dark Lord, so this might be a bit of an interesting one. But the Dark Lord already on those fresh set of rubbers looks like he's not going to be hanging around for too long, shall we say, and he's going to try and regain that lead as fast as he can.
I would anticipate you're right there. I do think it's a little ambitious for Dark Lord to go 10 laps in that Supra on the soft tyres, but if anyone can do it, I have faith in our Dark Lord. As Kai comes in for his final stop, he'll be going to soft tyres. Yeah, he's going to be...
Midnight goes round again.
Yeah,
he looks like he needs to come into the pit shortly, as I've just seen the fuel light flashing at him.
Yeah. And all I can say is I envy both Kai and Dark Lord taking their respective cars 10 and 9 laps on softs, where I wouldn't want to put the McLaren in that position. So good luck to those gents. It's going to be entertaining to see what their tyre wear is like in the final lap.
But in the here and now, potentially we might see Dark Lord try and overtake Midnight, or Midnight thinking that he doesn't want to hold Dark Lord up too much. Obviously we know these two have raced quite a few races side by side here, so we'll see what Midnight does. Maybe Midnight wanting to stay in the lead for as long as he can, until that obviously he has to make that final pit stop as Dark Lord goes to the outside. Oh, I thought he's still side by side here with Midnight, and Midnight backing out of it. You don't see many moves there, do you, Midnight?
No, but I can tell you right now that wasn't a battle. That was an annihilation by Dark Lord. Just sheer fat, soft tyres round the outside. Bye bye. There wasn't.
Did he
much.
give you a little wave out the window?
I gave him a wave. He was just like, nah, not even going to try that one. But he just went. It was very much, I'm staying on the racing line. I'm going to not give it to you. But he just went straight round the outside and went bye bye.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you don't need to move. I'll move out of your way and back into P1, which again I'm sure he'll be very happy about. That seems to be his favourite spot. He's always in and around P1, and but Mercedes in a very healthy P2 position in that Porsche as well, with Caden Kai in P3. But we see Fodder as well doing a cracking race so far in P4. He's had in that kind of middle stint, we didn't see much of him, but sometimes you don't need to, engage in those battles. If you time your pit stops perfectly, that also can help you out, as we see Midnight coming back out of the pits into P5. So not losing too much time, but we may see a bit of a last lap dash between McManley, Midnight, and potentially Wise Fodderboy.
Well, surprisingly for me, coming out in front of Mac not being off the boilers one, but maybe not choosing the strategy that worked best for him. He seems to have sort of faded into the mid-pack after that middle stint, and maybe going to the soft tyres in the middle, not working out for him, because he's somewhat out of position, I feel. So a little bit of an unknown race for Mac, but maybe just not suit the reverse layout suiting him as well as the normal layout, because he was very, very strong the week before and finishing at P2 eventually in the feature race. So not enjoying the reverse as much as Mercedes comes in for his final stop, promoting Kai into P2. Now, I think we fodder into P3, but this is going to be a very short stop for Mercedes. It's only going to be a splash and dash plus soft tyres, so keep an eye on him. He's going to be, I would imagine, at the very least, joint fastest man on the track. Where's he going to come out, Sarah?
Potentially. Oh, it looks like obviously Midnight is going to come out just side by side. Well, I don't know what was going to happen there, hence my
not over yet.
weird noises there. It's not over just yet. Mercedes winning that P4, going on the inside line. Midnight having a better exit than Mercedes here, and is still in front in the tunnel. But for how long will Midnight be in front? That's obviously Mercedes on the very fresh set of tyres here. Will he go for one of those famous late braking moves into this corner here? He goes on the outside, making Midnight go to the inside. Will we see an overcut done here? No, we see Midnight still holding that P4.
Kai, big damage. Kai, big damage.
Oh.
Sorry, that.
Ouch.
Yeah, that I saw a yellow flag out front. He's had a spin coming out the second right-hander off that hairpin, and he's got front and rear damage. He's hit both ends of the car.
Oof, not what you want in that closing stage of the race. It looks like he's going to come in to the pits now, which may drop him out of the podium, as we see Fodder going across the line now, promoted up into P2 with Midnight potentially sitting on the podium now in P3, but again, for how long for, as we see the very fast approaching Mercedes, losing a bit of time to Midnight, but not too much, as Mercedes gets a face full of sparks there from Midnight's McLaren 650S. I've got to say, the sparks around here, when you hit that dip before you go uphill into that first apex in the corner, it looks cool, doesn't it, Midnight?
It is pretty, isn't it? That's one reason why we like some night racing, particularly on GT7. It does look pretty. It shows a lot of the cars and a lot of beauty. Again, so does the daylight, but we do like seeing those sparks. It sounds a little bit childish when you say it like that, but I like the pretty lights.
I like cars, I like sparks. But yeah, they just look pretty cool. But like I say, the cars in the daytime look pretty cool as well. But I don't know, the sparks just add that little flair to the cars and makes them look cool. Although the cars themselves probably don't like hitting the ground, so no. Yeah, maybe not the best for the cars and they're underneath. But well, I'm sure they'll be alright.
I do have a little factoid on that. Whilst you say that, it's in F1 they use little tungsten, which is one of the heaviest metals, inserts in the front wings. The idea to emulate the cars of the late 80s and early 90s when they were scraping across the ground, leaving sparks like that. It's somewhat manufactured in F1 now. They do it by design, but you have to say, I don't think GT3 cars have the same tungsten skid blocks in them. That's probably vital parts of the underfloor being scraped off through the corners, so I doubt they enjoy it quite as much as the F1 cars, which are designed to do it. And there's a battle brewing.
I've got to agree with that one.
Yeah, I just said there's a battle brewing. Sophie, it looks like she is starting to catch Mac a little bit, but I do wonder if her soft tyres might go off a little bit before she gets there. Only 4 laps to go.
Yep, as I was just having a look as well, obviously seeing where Katie Lekai came out after that pit stop, and it has dropped into P7, so a bit of a challenge on Katie Lekai's hands here to try and get up to back again, as we see, like you say, that battle between the two Ferraris again, but also Mercedes still on the back of Midnight here. This is going to be a battle, I think, which is going to take us right up to the end of the race, if not in the next few laps. I see Mercedes potentially going for a move here, but Midnight able to be a little bit defensive going through that final corner. As they can see, obviously slightly further ahead, Podda is having a great race in P2 now. I'm sure he'll be delighted that he's sitting quite nicely on the podium at the moment. As we see Mercedes going on to that outside line, which is now the inside line. Ooh, but Midnight cutting him off and saying, no thank you, you're not passing me right now. And again, that forces Mercedes onto that outer wider line.
Mercedes did well there.
Midnight. I mean, both of you did really well to survive that. I don't know if that was a mean block by you or a very well calculated move, as it looks like you slammed that door. You didn't just shut the door on Mercedes, you slammed it.
I can tell you exactly what happened at that point. I missed a gear. So Mercedes arrived very close on the back into that corner, and by the time we both hit the brakes, he had to do an avoiding manoeuvre. So well done, Mercedes. That was brilliant driving from him, as far as I'm concerned.
Keeping you both in the race and pretty much alive. I'm going to put that. So you heard it here first, guys. Midnight missing a gear, but Mercedes making sure that they both get through that corner. So like I say, Mercedes able to. Ooh, I thought looked like the two were nearly going to come together, but again, Mercedes taking avoiding action. It seems like Midnight forcing them into another avoiding action there. But apart from that, having a little bit of a look further back, we've still got the Ferrari battle between Mac and Sophie brewing. The kind of gap has settled between the two, but they like to do their last lap battle, so I'm assuming they're going to get a little bit closer here, and they do. Sophie having to take a little bit of avoiding action there, as McManley breaking very heavily into that hairpin there, Midnight.
Quite right, and you can see those two Ferraris almost coming to blows, but the one I really want to bring your attention to at the moment, Fodder in P2 is starting to look vulnerable on those medium tyres, Sarah. Starting to get to that point. But you'd be thinking, I need another pit stop. It's only 3 laps to go. There's no point to pit. Dark Lord out front. Hey, he has checked out. He is gone. Fodder looks like he's going to be coming under pressure at some point. And as you can see, Mercedes doing his damnedest to take away a podium position. But obviously, just behind as well, the two Ferrari drivers going at it again.
Yeah, and having a look further back into the grid, we have Pedro on the back of Kirk again. So again, we might see a last minute. Although I said that, Pedro going slightly wide and picking up a bit of grass and a bit of dirt there. Well, so that does drop him back a little bit.
Update, Sarah. Kirk with big damage on the front, both sides as well. So he's heading off somewhere, but can Pedro make the most of it and actually get past?
Sorry to interrupt you. The Ferraris side by side going in to that corner where the hairpin is waiting for them. Mac on the inside, Sophie on the outside. Mac braking a lot later, taking that inside line. Sophie going wider, both putting the power down, and both in their positions. But that was getting tense for a minute there, Midnight.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
as you see, like you say, sorry to interrupt you there, Fodder losing a lot of ground, and he's now in the clutches of Midnight and Mercedes.
Yeah, there's like 3 battles. We've got battle for P2, battle for P5, and the battle for P8, all going off at the same time. And Dark Lord, who's just checked out front, and Kai, sitting in P7 at the moment, probably fastest man on the track, trying to chase down Sophie, who's got a few seconds behind. Sophie, yeah, damage. Sophie, that's unfortunate for Sophie. But here we go, into the final lap. Dark Lord has already reached that hairpin. Here we go, so I think this is going to be the battle for the podium right here.
I definitely agree. It looks like Midnight getting closer to Fodder here. Will Midnight go for the move in the hairpin, or will he think, I'm going to go for the move slightly further into the lap, as we see the two going in towards that crest, over the hill, in the braking zone, into the hairpin. Midnight going slightly wide, but Fodder making him work for that P2 position. And although Fodder, like you said, the tyres are going to be hurting at this point, as Midnight goes to that inside line, Fodder to the outside. Who's going to brake later here? It looks like both quite a match on the braking, but Midnight having that inside line is going to help going into this part of the course. But Fodder not out of it just yet, as we see Mercedes just further behind, looking to make that move and join Midnight on the podium here.
Oh, Mercedes getting down the inside. Oh, was that contact?
Fodder.
Was that contact? Was that a rear wheel just letting go?
I think that was a bit of a drift, and obviously showing the age of those tyres there. It didn't look like there was any sort of contact, but a little bit of donuts by Dark Lord celebrating his win. I'm sure the stewards are not going to like that, but it's one way to celebrate a win, shall we say. But Midnight coming through the final corner, and who knew he was going to finish on P2? Not him probably, but another podium to add to his numerous list. But in P3 we have Mercedes, and in P4 with a little bit of a drift as well, we have Fodder.
Oh, on the line, Sophie has lost a bunch of time to Kai. Matt finishing P5, Sophie just getting P6, and Kai, well, maintaining P7. And in P8, Kirk will be coming home. It was a little bit of a story of what could have been for him, but he's held off Pedro for P8, and Pedro finishing P9, gets some valuable points on the board. For all I can say is, Sarah, that was a bit of a heck of a race. But that, for the championship wise, well, that was entertaining, and a lot of drivers picking up some big valuable points. And Kai was picking up a couple more on the final few meters there.
Yeah, obviously very unfortunate to see Kedika having that incident in the last stint, which did drop him back into the clutches of kind of P7, P6, but he managed to get back up a few more positions, claim a bit more points, which again, all helps, especially as we go into that kind of second half of our season. So good to see him having a little bit of battle right at the end. I'm not sure if Sophie would have appreciated that battle, because when you get to that point, you just want to finish the race with the maximum amount of points. So she would have been under a lot of pressure in that last lap, especially. But a few names were quite impressive during that race, Midnight. Obviously, we had Pedro struggling a little bit in that BMW, Kirk as well in the Viper, because obviously we go from the track in the normal layout, should I say, or the way that we normally drive, and then you go to the reverse. People think it's exactly the same, but you have to drive it so differently, and I think obviously that catching out a few of the drivers this week after we drove the last week the other layout, so potentially catching a few drivers out. But some of the drivers, especially Wise Fodder Boy, really having a good race here, as well as Mercedes, Midnight and Darkwood.
Yeah, quite right. And I have to say, we had quite frankly a lot of moaning about the Deep Forest reverse, because it is one of those really challenging tracks. It's one of those, it doesn't make life easy for you. So I fully understand the discourse about the track, but it's provided us, I think, with a fascinating race. Once you iron out a few of the kinks, literally, and avoid some of the danger zones, it becomes a track which is a lot of fun. And today it's provided us a lot of moments, particularly involving Mercedes today, who's been sort of involved with everyone today at some point or other. And yeah, it's been a vital round of the championship, and I think a bit of a success round here. And it is one of those where strategy has played as big a part as the on-track racing itself, and I thoroughly enjoyed this event. But I think that does lead us on to the big question. I will give you mine straight away, because for me, driver of the day, I think you have to give Dark Lord a shout, who had a fantastic podium despite something back in the sprint, as well as a very commanding win in the feature. He just played it beautifully and sensibly. Didn't do anything he didn't have to do, and that's exactly how you should go about racing. And then there's Mercedes, who I think gave us a beautiful display, fighting everyone on the grid at some point or other, and choosing his points to, have great racing. But I have to say, where do you come down on that then, Sarah?
Oh, I was thinking the same, so get out my head, Midnight.
All right.
But yeah, I think you've got to give it to Dark Lord for the double podium. Obviously, the sprint race wasn't easy for him. Starting on the back of the grid makes his job a lot harder to get in or around the podium. So to do that is a very impressive job that he did there. And also, very commanding lead in the feature race. He was in the lead and pretty much stayed in the lead. Obviously, minus a few pit stops, but that's bound to happen. But I've got to give it to Mercedes as well. Like you say, just I don't know, it's something about Mercedes. You know, fighting with most of the grid, he does it with class. He does it with respect. He doesn't get in, you know, kind of those tussles where elbows out. He does it when he feels like he's got the speed or he's got the move done. He will do it then. He won't kind of, you know, catch the driver out by surprise or anything like that. So just gonna simply just give Mercedes the driver of the day as well as Dark Lord for a very kind of impressive race filled with many battles, like you say. But there is quite a few other honourable mentions for the driver of the day as well. Obviously, Midnight having not the easiest of first stints, especially in that feature race. So I definitely think he's an honourable mention, as well as I've got to say, Wise Fodderboy, P4 in the feature race in that Porsche. It's not an easy job to do, especially with damage. I don't know if you agree with Mike.
I completely agree. I mean, Fodder probably, I think all of the, excluding the Dark Lord in this one, all of the top, I think 6 drivers at one point or another are either involved in a battle or had damage at some point and have adjusted their strategy accordingly. No one had a easy run to get the best out of the race and, you know, the optimum lap time, which is probably where we see that Dark Lord gets such a healthy lead. He's the only one who, in my opinion, has had, I'm not going to say an easy race, by far that is not true, but he's the only one who's had a clear on being able to maximise the time of his race. Fodder especially is where I circle back round to the actual point. His middle stint was compromised with that damage, so it is one of those, he could have easily finished 10 seconds up the road, as could have Mercedes with the various battles, as could have Manley if he hadn't run out of fuel, which I'm not going to let him forget. And you got the same with Kai and Sophie, which damage and altering strategy, and got Kirk the same. I'm going to say Fodder especially, we haven't mentioned him all that much during this race, but he seems like both a Red Lobby regular and someone from the series who has just turned up a few races ago. I think this is his 3rd race and seems part of the crew already, and good close driving from him. I will just say one final point, shout out to Kirk, who had a very good sprint race. Unfortunately not all coming together in the feature race, but he's shown what pace he's got, and even in that Viper, which is a very difficult car. And another shout out to Pedro, despite finishing last after a first lap incident, sorry about that mate, and he has got to the end, got some valid vital points on the board, who will, I think, after still be sitting in P3, P4 in the championship. So well done to him, and good luck for the rest of the season. But getting to the end and showing a lot of guts and determination in doing so. But you have to say, Dark Lord, again, I'm going to give him the praise now for this one. He made that happen for him. He may have the Super at the moment, which is very quick, but he made that happen, and his practice and testing has really paid off here today.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I feel like we're gonna have to saying the Supra of Dark Lord. He seems to be on fire at the moment, and obviously quite good pairing with the driver and the car. So I think we're gonna see, you know, a few more commanding leads from the Dark Lord. We have got 4 races left, and I think that kind of is a perfect kind of transition into talking about the next race. It is round 7 at Trial Mountain, a track that we all don't go to as much as what we probably should, so it'll be interesting to see how everyone gets on around there. It's again a track filled with quite a few straights. We may see some cars excel in those straight line speed sections, and a few twisty turny bits, as I like to call them. So I'm excited and pumped for round 7. But like I said earlier, the points this time is gonna be crucial. We're getting to those kind of closing stages of the season where points are gonna be needed across the board to you know, really settle themselves in the positions, especially obviously the top 3 in the championship. But yeah, round 7, Trial Mountain. Pumped and excited for that. But first, let's go hear what the drivers had to say about this race and get a few words from them, Midnight. So thank you for joining me in the commentary box. We don't really get to commentate on much races, me and you, these days, but it's proper, OG style. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the race just as much as I did.
Absolutely did. It's been a pleasure watching this Red Lobby race, and it's been a lot of fun competing in it and viewing it from the outside, I will say as well. If anyone hasn't already, please check out the Blue Lobby race. It was outstanding in a very similar way, but with lots of great on-track action. So both lobbies delivering here at Deep Forest Reverse. So like you said, Sarah, with that in mind, let's go and hear the podium room. But ultimately, please check out the Blue Lobby as well. You won't be regretting it. Thank you very much, Sarah. It's been a pleasure.
Really happy with the P3 starting on the softs. I feel is better than the mediums, gave me more strategy choice, and sprint race I'll take P4.
Well, what can be said about that race other than I thoroughly enjoyed it. The feature race coming home in second place was not even on the cards to me, with even 3 or 4 laps to go. Lucky enough with gaining a couple of positions through a incident from Kai. Unlucky for him, but I'll take it in this case. And had a great battle with Fodder and Mercedes all the way to the end. So kudos to those guys for some great clean racing, especially to Mercedes, who almost ran into the back of me at one point when I missed a gear. So well done for avoiding that incident, because that could have been scary. The sprint went a little less according to plan, but I know I was in for a good feature race from the sprint, as I had what I felt like seemed genuine pace, and I was catching a lot of the drivers in front, at very least staying close on raw pace, and I knew with the tyre wear aspect it would put me in good stead for the feature race, so I was looking forward to it after that. But big sorry to Pedro for the incident on the first lap of the feature, but it's one of those things. This is racing, it does happen. As Hamilton was saying, still we rise and we go racing again, so look forward to the next race. This race has been great, but let's move on to Trial Mountain.